Friday, June 22nd, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. I'm going to go over a really interesting topic today. The 1988 Economist magazine, they predicted that we'd have a new currency by 2018 in 30 years. Was that a coincidence? Maybe not. I found something quite interesting to do with numbers and the Bank of England. But before I go through what I found, let's quickly look at what the markets are doing this morning. Of course, yesterday, stock markets didn't have a great day. The Dow finished almost down 200 points, S&P down about 18, and the NASDAQ down almost 1%. So right now it's just before 8:30 a.m. London. Gold is up it's around $1269.50, so up $2.50. Range has been $1265 to $1271. Low yesterday was $1261. Silver up about 7 cents at $16.39. So outperforming a little gold. Does it matter? Probably not at the moment. Range has been $16.43 to $16.29. And I will note that yesterday the low was around that, just below $16.20, which has been a really important support in the last months or even year. You know, it's always held above, just above 16. The Dow right now is rebounded a little bit. It's up 87. The S&P is up 9.5. So both up about 1/3%. The chart doesn't look very good for the Dow. I won't talk about the chart right now and look at it, but yeah, not looking great. NASDAQ is up 0.2%, the NASDAQ 100 future. Currency-wise, we're seeing the pound continue to rebound quite well. Yesterday, we hit that 131 target I had from over a month ago when we started breaking down just below 140. I said we could go to 131. Do I always get it right? No, but this time I did. Why is the pound rebounded? We're now almost back to 133. It's up almost 0.5% this morning. Well, yesterday at the Bank of England meeting, they didn't change rates, but the vote for the rate decision was 6 in favor of unchanged and 3 in favor of a hike. The market expected 7.2, so that's why the pound rebounded. But it's I even think they probably said we need the pound to rebound a bit. It's gone too far. So they decided, let's get one of you guys to vote for a hike, so that basically a manipulation to get the market, the pound, to rebound a bit. I still think it's a dead cat bounce, medium to longer term. So the euro as well is rebounding here. It's up 0.5%, 116.50, and the dollar's fairly stable, up just 0.14% against the yen at 110.13. So now to the Bank of, to this 2018 date, 1988 Economist cover. And before I go further into it, I'll but I'll show you a clip from 2014 and to show you why I used the number 7 in my calculations. And this is Christine Lagarde at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., and she made a speech there. This is what she says.
2014. Now I'm going to test your numerology skills by asking you to think about the magic 7.
So there you go. Head of the IMF, which is the... it doesn't get higher than that, the head of the snake, so to speak, IMF, BIS, central banks, and she's talking about the number 7, right? Nothing happened in 2014, of course, but I've taken that number into account, and I've looked at this book, A History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind, Stephen Mitford Goodson. And yeah, the Bank of England, of course, was founded on July 27th, 2014. Sorry, July 27th, 1694. The anniversary, 324th 4-year anniversary will be this year. So what's 324 got to do with anything, you ask? Well, I'll show you what I did here. So, Bank of England, right? 1694, July 24th, founded July 27th, 2018. Bank of England's 324th anniversary. 324 divided by 7, I get 46.285. That's my cycle that I found. Might not mean anything. Maybe the Economist magazine was just guessing. They took 30 years. Maybe it's just a guess. Maybe it's not. So I did some calculations here and I came up with some interesting dates, which I'll talk about in a minute. So you get 46.285 times 5. You get 231.425 years plus 1694. You get 1925.425. And I'll talk about 1925 in a minute. 46.285 times 6, 277.71 plus 1694, and you get 1971.71. Talk about that. You probably guessed already why 1971 is significant. You probably know about that. And then the last one, 46.285 times 7. And you know, we get to 2018 if you add 1694, and that's where we are. So, and why the Bank of England? Well, the Bank of England is the model for all the central banks that came after it, especially the Federal Reserve. I think the Swedish central bank was founded before. Let's read a little bit about the Bank of England. Establishment of the Bank of England. The need for a privately owned central bank was fronted by a retired pirate, William Patterson, when he wrote a pamphlet in 1693 entitled A Brief Account of the Intended Bank of England. He would later boast that this bank hath the benefit of interest of all monies in which it creates out of nothing. On Thursday, June 21st, 1694, subscription lists for the bank, which had a capital of £1,200,000 were opened. By the following Monday, this amount had been fully subscribed. So June 21st was yesterday. Of course, that's basically the Bank of England IPO, initial public offering, started June 21st, 1694. So, and it was founded in a bit later on July 27th. And it's interesting that we know that the Federal Reserve Act was voted upon on Christmas Eve almost, or December 23rd, and a lot of the people who would have voted not to approve it or voted yes for it were not there. They'd gone home for Christmas. And it's interesting that on page 39 it says here, at the time, the House of Commons had 514 members consisting of 243 Tories, 241 Whigs, and 21 members whose allegiance was unknown. About two-thirds of the members were country gentlemen, and it is believed that of the 514 members, approximately 20% were illiterate. The bill was debated in July 1694, the high point in summer, when most of the rural members were engaged in summer pursuits and the harvesting of their crops. On that fateful Friday, July 27, 1694, when the Charter of Incorporation was granted, only 42 members were present, all of them Whigs, as the Tories opposed the bill, who all voted in favor of it. And he puts in brackets, this begs the question as to what a quorum consisted of in those days. So it's the same kind of thing that happened with the Federal Reserve to get it through Congress. They did through Parliament. The other point I'd make is that this 46.2 year cycle, I've gone backwards as well. And if you take 1694 minus 46.2, you go back to around 1648. What happened during that time? Well, that was the period just before Charles I was, his head was chopped off It started the process in 1647, and then by January 1649, Cromwell took over. So there you go, another important date, 1648-49, around that time. So now I'll talk about these other dates that we've got here. What happened, you say, what happened in 1925? What's so important? Well, back then I would argue that the pound was still, British pound or pound sterling was still, if not the major reserve currency of the world. I think you need to go to 1944 to make officially the dollar with the Bretton Woods Agreement. So during World War I, the pound went off gold, the gold standard, but in April 1925, we returned to a gold standard in the UK. And there you go. So that's the date, April 1925. And I would argue that that's probably one of the reasons why we had the Roaring '20s. And why is that? Well, because Winston Churchill was the Chancellor of the Exchequer at the time, or the Finance Minister, and he took the UK back to the same rate, that exchange rate versus gold that the UK had before World War I. And he basically should have taken the UK back on a, she should have devalued the money. It should have been a higher rate, more gold per pound. And how did that affect things? Well, the Federal Reserve in the States, especially Federal Reserve Bank of New York, that deals with foreign counterparties, they had to keep rates low in order to make sure that gold didn't leave the UK, because they went in at a too low a rate. And what did those low rates cause? Well, it caused the stock market to go up. So very important date, 1925. So, and then 1971, of course, is the Nixon shock. That was the year that Richard Nixon, I think it was August 15th, 1971, Richard Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard. He temporarily suspended gold convertibility. Foreign central banks could go to the U.S. Treasury and demand, or foreign treasuries, demand redemption for every $35, and they would get 1 troy ounce of gold. So that's the Nixon shock. The eagle, or the phoenix, sorry, here on the Economist magazine, you've got this gold medal or coin, and it says 10 Phoenix, and it's got the sign there in the middle. It's a theta sign. That's theta. So you've got the phoenix, burning paper money there. So, and what does theta mean? I looked into Wikipedia as well, but I wanted to look at a different source. And it says, in ancient times, tau was used as a symbol for life or resurrection, whereas the 8th letter of the Greek alphabet, theta, was considered the symbol of death. So maybe that means, the rise of gold again and the death of paper money. I don't know. Or will the rise of gold be linked to cryptocurrencies? Maybe people think it will. So there you have it. Is it just a coincidence? Could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong. And why would the Rothschilds or the Economist know that? Well, you saw that Christine Lagarde is into numerology. She's the head of, IMF. Yeah. So coincidence, or are we going to see something epic in 2018? It looks like it could be a new currency, and gold could be involved, and silver indirectly. So that's what I wanted to talk about. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and on Twitter. If you'd like to make a donation as well, there's some links below in the description. Thanks for watching. Take care. Goodbye.